boots on the ground solution. So yes, we have to come back to the Most High, but what does that look like? That looks like you going out into the streets where our brothers and sisters at and showing them that.
Yeah, but I'm saying once we do that, what is the next steps from that? Because I know divide and conquer, that's the answer, right? Okay, I'm Christian, I'm Muslim, okay, we at odds, we can't never come together. I'm Israelite, I believe in the devil, we at odds, we can't never come together. Once we do that, now we're talking about building infrastructure. Because when I look at the black race, we don't have no power because of that. We don't have no foothold in the major infrastructures of the world that if we was to remove that from society, society is directly impacted, like the oil, like energy, like airline, like, shit that really matters, agriculture. We don't have none of that. So that's what I'm asking, like, okay, well, what's the answer on that?
You know what I saw?
Go to the Most High.
You know what I saw? So now after that, right, the infrastructure starts with what you build internally. So if I would take my organization, for example, that brother right there just came back from building a whole farm of animals. So now we can grow our own animals. That's agriculture. I got another brother, Tazayach, in Texas. We got farms in Texas, so we can build that. Economically, if we don't bring our resources together, I think they got this term where the black dollar leaves out the black community fast.
Couple minutes.
Right, couple minutes. And most people think that that's a smart thing to say that. Not realizing half of the stuff that we actually spend money on is bills. So we don't control that. So let's remove the bills like your gas, your electric. Let's remove that. Let's just stick to our commerce. If you start a business and you start a business, I start a business, we would support you in here. Like I have a business. I have a business.
This is not the message. This is not the message of the prophets. All right. This is why the prophets weren't accepted. See, this is how you know this man's not a prophet, man. All right, because
that's it right there. That's it right there. Shalom, giving all praise to my heavenly Father. His name is Yahawashi by Yishim, Yahawashi by Yishim Karkadash. The honors to the apostles and elders that rule well in peace and many salutations to Yakim that's toiling in his truth. This is the brother, the elder Pasha out there in Baltimore, a city in DMV, and he posted this clip of Captain Tazayach speaking on the remedy for so-called black people, which this doctrine of ours is not based on phenotype. It's based on lineage, and Latinos and Native Americans are also Israelites, and you're going to have people out there that are foreign Israelites, that look like different nations that are in fact Israelites. So this thing is bigger than, Esau's classification of people, which is, false. And that's under the category of pseudoscience. Anthropology was built by, were constructed by guys like Carl Linnaeus and Johannes Blumenbach. And these was various doctrines to rationalize white supremacy. So we have to, reconstruct our mind when it comes to the whole concept of race, right? Which is, again, a European concept, okay? And also, what Captain Tazayach said was straight cap, man. Straight cap as far as talking about farmers and having, your own farm. People don't realize that, these farmers are losing, a substantial amount of their income based on the raise in and doing the cost of doing business, raising these tariffs, and also a lack of workers. It's very difficult to obtain workers and to keep workers in farming, not to mention equipment costs. Tractors cost thousands of dollars, man. Fertilizer is very expensive. All these things are, basically deterring people from being farmers, especially Jake farmers, man. You know, I had family members that actually had farms, and they ended up having to give up the farms because, the cost of business became too high, and so they had to end up getting a job, working, at a plant. You know what I'm saying? So him saying, oh, we just need our own farms, is very naive. In fact, him, saying, well, how do we get our own oil and and this and that is very idealistic. In order for you to get these things, you have to have major contracts, and you have to have the resources to compete on a global level, even when it comes to farming, right? The meats, the grains, things of that nature that we get from from the store. You have to understand it's not all grown here, man. We get it shipped in from various places. So you have to have a contract to, with certain manufacturing companies when it comes to meat, meat processing plants, things of that nature. Hell, you got to figure out what type of cattle you want to raise. Because someone said, "Oh, we just gonna raise cows." Well, what size cows? Well, are you gonna raise calves? You know what I'm saying? There's different farms do different things. It's not this. It's not that simple. And that shows you that Jake is living in a fantasy, bro. You know, they're not living in reality. And what the elder Pasha said, it's true. This guy is not a prophet. He's taking hold of his truth to push his narrative and not the will of the Heavenly Father. Ultimately, we are under these curses because guess what? We didn't keep the law, statute, and commandments, man. Right? And us understanding that, we understand that why we need a redeemer. Because in this law, in this land, there's no way for us to keep the law, right? So faith in Yahawashi is very important. It's a very pinnacle part in understanding that you're an Israelite, right? Now, with that understanding, we keep the law, statute, commandments to our best ability. We don't break the law because we are in grace, but we understand that our salvation comes through Him, right? And that faith is not going to be given unto everybody, bro. Okay? It's not going to be given unto everybody. And you coming together and saying, oh, well, shit, I got a business. We gonna just support one another, man. It's already been done before, bro. It's being done now. It's not gonna that's not gonna change the curses. The whole concept of so-called black man and black women coming together and using one another's business is nothing new. Again, it is not going to change the plight of our people because guess what? We still lack resources. And these resources, Esau Edom got them on lock, bro. Right? And Esau Edom has strategically, kept the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Americans, out of that realm. Okay? In fact, he's placed, so-called minorities, other minorities, saying are heathens above us, to act like a buffer between us and them by giving them loans to have various stores in our neighborhoods to basically eat off of us, man. It's all strategic. So the remedy is getting the hell up out of here, bro, and pushing that narrative. Not, man, let me come together. Shit, you got an instant store. I got a vitamin store. We're gonna use each other's store. Anytime you need incense, come to me. And if I need vitamins, I come to you. Like, no, bro. It's low level as fuck. Okay? And it's not gonna stop these curses, man. Right? Captain Tazayach is teaching out of his own heart. And he's been around the conscious community too long to where he's taking on their narratives. Okay? Let's get you some scriptures. Micah 2:10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with a sore destruction. All right? So how do we arise and depart this place? We do it by believing in the words of the scriptures of the true prophets. And we turn back to the Heavenly Father via His Son Yahawashi. Right? But a lot of people who know that they're Israelites, that's not good enough for them, because it's not something that's tangible, right? It's not something that's tangible. So, they take on these various philosophies of the world because it makes them feel as if, the kingdom of heaven is obtainable by what they could do. You know what I'm saying? And again, that leads to falsehood. Okay? Verse 11, if a man walking in the spirit and falsehood do lies, saying, I will prophesy unto thee of wine and of strong drink, he shall even be the prophet of this people. Right? So our people, they want to hear these lies, man. They want to hear the whole concept of so-called black people coming together, which we detest that here. We're not black, we're Israelites. And the Israelites embody more than just so-called African Americans, man. Nevertheless, right? Jake thinks that they're gonna come together, right? No matter what religion and ideas and and have commerce with one another, and it's not gonna work, right? A religion is very important. You know what I'm saying? Religion is very important. When these various people come over here, you know what I'm saying? That are foreigners, what they have, one underlying thing that they have in common is their religion, right? And with their religion, they're able to do what? Under their various guidelines, they're able to build one another, because a religion also embodies a culture, okay? Right? So I understand in that aspect what, Captain Tazayach was trying to convey, but he has to raise his his understanding, right? Understanding that it's not his will, by his will, that we're going to get out of this predicament. Or our will, we're going to get out of this predicament, right? It's based on, right, us coming back to the Heavenly Father. But more than likely, he's not going to understand that, because, he's a false prophet. And also, this guy's not getting, his congregation or the people who he's speaking to ready for the said perils to come. And in order for us to have rulership, what has to happen? Well, this place has to be destroyed. Okay? Right? And those that haven't returned back to the Heavenly Father by His Son Yahawashi, they're going to be destroyed in the falling of this place, man. Okay? That's something that must be preached. Right? Being a part of the elect, right? The 144, the great multitude. That's what we should be esteemed to be a part of, because these are the people that's going through one, be written in the book of life, and two, have that covering when Yahawashi returns, right? And before Yahawashi returns, all hell is about to break loose. The Most High is gonna take the lease off of Edom dusty ass, and he's gonna get busy, man. Right? So while you building your, your teacher's store, all hell is about to break loose, man. Okay, you're not getting your people ready for what's about to happen. Ezekiel 13:1, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Israel that prophesy, and say thou unto them that prophesy out of their own hearts, hear ye the word of Yahweh. Thus saith Yahweh power. Woe unto the false prophets that follow their own spirit and have seen nothing. And this is what Captain Tazayach is doing, bro. He's falling after his own spirit. Okay, he's not getting his congregation ready for what's about to happen, man. Right? Jay said they desire the day of the Lord, as it says in Amos the 5th chapter. But what end is it for them? It's a day of wrath and malice. Okay, it's not gonna be a good day, and we're in these days where it's about to get bad out here. We're not gonna keep on saying it's finna get bad. No, we're about to see it live in 3D, man. Right, and a lot of people, man, that know they're Israelites, they're gonna denounce their belief. That because they haven't been getting themselves together, getting themselves ready for the day of the Lord. And Captain Tazayach, he's going to have a lot of blood on his hand. Okay? Things about to change real quickly, man. Right? It's ruling right before our eyes. But this guy talking about building a fucking business. Okay? Verse 4, O Israel, these prophets are like the foxes in the desert. Ye have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the heads for the house of Israel to stand in the battle of the day of Yahweh. That's right. They're not building. He's not building up He's not building up the faith of his congregation based on Yahweh by Yashim Yahawashi to stand on that faith in the day of wrath. And that day of wrath is around the corner, man. Verse 6, they have seen vanity and lying divination, saying the Lord Yahweh saith, and Yahweh hath not sent them. And they have made others to hope that they would confirm the word. That's right there. So this guy is pushing the whole narrative of so-called black folks come together, right, on being a black Hebrew Israelite, right, and with that he's going to build a business, but these business that's going to come to naught. It's not going to be popular to be a Hebrew Israelite, man, right? And then we're going to see who has integrity and who doesn't. Okay. Before I leave, because I got to get out of here, I wanted to give you guys some stats on farmers. Okay. This is let you see how much this guy was really capping when he said that, he got friends, they have businesses, farms. This guy got a farm. Everybody got a farm, right? He was capped, man. Okay. Now this is AR overview. I just simply asked, are farmers struggling? It says, despite regional differences in a recent uptick in government aid, American farmers are broadly struggling with a combination of high production costs, low commodity prices, and market instability in 2025. let me see here. While the U.S. Department of Agriculture forecasts an increase in overall farming income for 2025, largely due to significant government payments, many farmers report shrinking profit margins and raising debt. Okay, so the climate for being a farmer in 2025 is very bleak, right? And these various tariffs, what I'm saying, and also the rise in cost of doing business by inflation, right? It's not helping, bro. Financial challenges, low commodity prices for major crops like corn, soybeans, which you use corn to feed your cattle, right? Corn and feed, things of nature to feed your cattle, man. Prices for major crops like corn, soybean, and wheat has been trending downward from their 2022 highs. This is particularly tough for raw crop farmers who face negative profit margins per acre for many major crops. High production costs. Farmers are facing record high production expenses in 2025. Costs for essential inputs like fertilizer, fuel, and labor has risen dramatically since 2020 due to inflation. Increased expenses on farm debt has also risen significantly since the Federal Reserve began raising interest rates. Growing debt and bankruptcies. Farm bankruptcies rose in 2024 and has continued to trend higher in 2025. While filing Chapter 12 bankruptcy can help farmers reconstruct. High debt and interest expenses pose a serious threat to financial stability for many. Right, so you're talking about having your own farm. Well, in order for you to have your own farm, right, you have to have the money to be able to start that farm, man. Right, which requires you to get in debt, and if you're not able to pay off that debt, guess what? You're gonna be in financial problems, man. Now you saying that we should get our own farm, use debt, and also get a part of something that most Jake and most Judites are not familiar with, right? And this is supposed to be all of a sudden lucrative. Okay, so it's not gonna work, bro. Right? The climate let you know of a farm is not gonna let you. It's gonna will show you that it's not gonna work on a broad level. Could it work on a shorter level? Some brothers, yeah, but yeah. Overall, it's not gonna work. And the reason why is this place is crumbling, man. This place is crumbling. Okay. All right. So yeah, Captain Tazayach, stop the cap, bro. Stop the cap. You know what I'm saying? Pray this edifying. On to next. Shalom.